Welcome to our channel, and we wish you a happy, scary Halloween. In our creepy new retro games reviews this week, we have Crazy Castle, a spooky and fun platformer for the Amiga 500, along with Organism, a horror sci-fi action-adventure game for the Commodore 64. In our dark and sinister hardware review, we test and play with the amazing Next Joystick version 1 for the ZX Spectrum Next. You will see deep in our haunted DOS vault, Lantern Light, a spooky rogue-lite RPG for the MS-DOS. With it, we are bringing back chilling memories of bloody adventures with the Waxworks, a truly atmospheric adventure dungeon crawler. Lastly, in our history lesson, we awaken the beast itself. The beast that was Neo-Geo, that is, as we look into its spectacular rise to the top of the video game systems as an absolute power. So, get a grip and prepare yourself for a really scary Halloween episode. Come on, if you dare. We begin our spooky new retro games reviews with Crazy Castle by Four Seasons for the Commodore Amiga 500. You control maids looking for the proper herbs to collect for a magic potion to make yourself taller. I'd say that is a noble cause. The controls are simple as you move left, right, and jump. It must be noted that to go up a ladder, all you must do is stand under it, and your little wizard will automatically go up. There is no way, though, to go down a ladder, giving the game a side of puzzle in the gameplay, as you must plan your approach to every room carefully. The graphics are cute and colorful, and have a good enough animation for your character and the various monsters that stand in your way. Of course, one touch from them and you lose one of your precious lives. The music is good, but gets repetitive after a while, with sound effects to be a bit better. The controls are good, but your character feels a little slippery sometimes, especially at the jumping moments. On to the rankings now, and the graphics receive a 7.9, the controls a 7.5, the music and sound effects a 7.8, and the gameplay an 8.9, for a total of 8. A fun little platform puzzler that will provide you with some solid entertainment. Our next game is the atmospheric Organism by the incredible Cytronic software team. This is an arcade action-adventure game for Commodore 64, with clear influences from both the Aliens movie and the amazing Project Firestart. You wander around the Heracles spaceship to find out what triggered a ship-wide high alert and discover the horrors behind the truth. The gameplay consists of you trying to gather enough disks and datasets, acquiring new passkeys to enter otherwise sealed areas of the ship, face the infected crew along with the roaming parasitic alien lifeforms, and generally trying to survive long enough to get to the bottom of the mystery with your life still intact. You have a blaster to defend yourself and a mapping system. Along the way, you get access to terminals where you get to hack through puzzle minigames. The graphics have big and wonderfully designed sprites, even though they use only one color. The animation is great, and the SIP is designed with amazing detail and environments that change the deeper you explore. The music, although a bit subtle, adds to the atmosphere tremendously, and the sound effects are spot on. The controls are tight and responsive, and won't give you any trouble roaming the ship's terrifying corridors. Do the ranking now, and the graphics receive a solid 9.3. The controls a 9.4. The music and sound effects a fair 9.2. And the gameplay a well-deserved 9.5. For a total of 9.3 and the title of the Spooky Game of the Week. A wonderful and scary tribute to the classic Project Firestart that you shouldn't miss. This week we have an amazing piece of equipment for the almighty ZX Spectrum Next, the Next Joystick version 1. This is the absolute arcade stick for your ZX Next, designed and put together by Steve Elmer, and we personally think that it brings the arcade feeling to the beloved platform to the top. The joystick is incredibly well designed, with a look that fits both the classic ZX Spectrum platform and the ZX Next. It really looks up and at the same time respects the creations of the late Rick Dickinson, and that makes an even more fitting companion for your computer. It comes with a classic 9-pin Atari port, and of course, plugging it in is as easy as 1, 2, 3 and won't give you any problems. We'll connect to our ZX Next now and give it a go. Well, follow us. The first thing you'll notice is the excellent feeling you have by moving the stick. The clicky sound and the precision are apparent from the first moment. Let's go around a game and see it in action. We should go for an arcade game, a shooter arcade game. Yes, we should go for Aliens Neoplasma, as it's a fitting game to test that joystick. Let's begin. And the movement is easy and precise, and you feel that you have absolute control over your character's every move. The buttons are responsive and feel good at pressure. The little button on the top, the blue one, is pre-configured to bring up the menu or options and settings in many games. Let me go check something on the specific game now, that it is a make or break moment for my judgment on the arcade stick. Now let me see. Yeah, after that we get our weapons. Let me test it now. Yes, perfect. You see, I tried playing Neoplasma with many gamepads, and each and every time I had to go through a painful reconfiguration for using all keys properly. With the Next Joystick, I just plugged it in, started playing, and everything worked as it should. Excellent feeling, excellent responsiveness. Let's test another more generic action game in Dungeon It. As before, the controls are responsive and have a great feeling to them. It is a joy to play games with this stick, and it really changes your perspective on retro gaming in a most positive way. feeling of the buttons and the stick is of high quality. The Next Joystick version 1 comes also, I must mention, with another surprise, as you can order both a right-handed or a left-handed joystick, as I did for myself. Now I must mention that for me and many other people, as far as I know, changing the side of the joystick is a great convenience, as let me show you. I used to cross my hands to play properly in the arcades all my life. This is a life-saving characteristic. The Next Joystick is an amazing piece of equipment, and version 2 is already available with a new design and a new model with USB. Look up Steve Elmer and get one, and needless to say, it's a major thumbs up. Lantern Light, designed by Conrad Trout, is a turn-based RPG rogue-lite. In this game, players take on the challenge of guiding their chosen character through the perilous depths of a dungeon, aiming to survive and reach the lowest floor. Lantern Light features 3 distinct classes, each with their own strengths, weaknesses, and playstyles. The fighter is renowned for wielding a sword and a vast arsenal of weapons. It focuses on physical combat and excels in close quarters encounters. The mage serves as a hybrid between the fighter and the wizard. The wizard specializes in spellcasting, primarily uses magical abilities to defeat enemies. The game operates on a single turn-based system, where each action is deliberate and requires strategic decision-making. The roguelite characteristics adds a layer of strategy to the game. Players must carefully choose their moves to survive encounters. The controls are primarily keyboard-based, ensuring quick and responsive gameplay as you navigate through the dungeon's treacherous floors. Each class offers a different path to success, encouraging experimentation and replayability. Let's see the ranking now, with the EGA graphics receiving an 8. The controls get a well-deserved 8.9. The music and sound effects, as expected, get a 5. And the gameplay receive a solid 9, bringing the total to a 7.7. A hidden gem of the genre for the MS-DOS aficionados. Waxworks by Accolade is a cult classic that stands tall among retro horror RPGs, especially for fans looking for a spine-tingling adventure around Halloween. Released in the early 90s, Waxworks drops you into the eerie shoes of a protagonist who inherits a mysterious Waxworks museum with a dark family curse. From the moment you enter, the game's premise grabs you. To lift the curse, you must travel through 5 nightmarish time periods, each one represented by a different Waxwork exhibit that comes horrifyingly to life. Each Waxwork exhibit is a portal to a twisted historical era. From Victorian London to ancient Egypt, each with its own gruesome villain. The overarching goal? Defeat these monstrous ancestors and break your family's curse. Waxworks is a blend of dungeon crawling, puzzle solving, and visceral combat. You'll be scouring dark corridors, handling deadly traps, and piecing together clues to survive its era's deadly puzzles. Combat is tense and unforgiving, with a first-person perspective that pulls you right into action. Controls are classic point-and-click fare, sometimes clunky by today's standards, but responsive enough for careful navigation and item management. The lack of modern conveniences like an in-game map adds to both the challenge and the tension, forcing you to draw your own maps or risk getting hopelessly lost. What really makes Waxworks shine is its horror atmosphere. The VGA graphics are gruesomely detailed for the time. The music and sound effects are haunting, with creepy background tracks that make every encounter nerve-wracking. Waxworks demand patience and a sharp mind. To the rankings now, and the graphics receive a 9.5. The controls an 8.9. The music and sound effects an 8. And the gameplay an 8.5. For a total of 8.7. A chilling, complex adventure and a perfect pick for Halloween gaming. Since the dawn of the video games industry, the goal for the home systems was the same: bring the arcade feeling to our living room without compromises. That is the holy grail for the video game systems, be it computers or consoles. And for a while that seemed like a hollow promise. In the early 90s, the market of video games consoles was dominated by three companies. Nintendo on one corner, with the Super NES, promised the world with its FX chipset and Mode 7. Sega, on the other hand, straight out promised to bring the arcades home, as a famous commercial of the Genesis used to say. And NEC claimed to have done this already with the PC Engine TurboGrafx 16 Duo. But the truth was far from this, and all these claims gave rise to a sleeping giant. SNK was a Japanese company that specialized mainly in arcade games, and many of them became major hits worldwide, providing the three contestants with a constant supply of titles to show off. But the company was growing wary of others enjoying success at home worldwide with its titles, and set off to fulfill the aforementioned promise for real and show all three of them how it's done. The company's strategy was divided into three stages. First, a platform was created that would provide a standard for the company's games and get sold in the arcades worldwide. This way, the platform would have a global test crowd and fill SNK's coffers. Thus, the MVS was created, an arcade board that could use interchangeable cartridges internally, thus lowering the cost for the arcade venues and at the same time providing the latest titles for the gamers to enjoy. With the success of the MVS, SNK proceeded to the second stage of its plan, the creation of a modified version of the arcade board, changed just enough so as the cartridges of the MVS wouldn't fit into the newly designed hardware, so as not to have the software market of the two collide. Lastly, the hardware was test marketed through a new strategy that would become a standard in the late 90s for many consoles. Through rental stores, gamers could rent the new system and try it in all its glory, without having the burden of buying a new console they have never heard before. And thus, SNK's Neo-Geo AES was born. The Neo-Geo was a beast for its time. The console was powered by a dynamic duo of Motorola 6800 at 12 MHz, along with a Zilog Z80A set at 4 MHz that would work together to provide the much advertised 24-bit power. The system also had 7 different specialist smaller processors that divided the workload of various tasks. The graphics chipset could display 320 by 224 resolution with 3840 on-screen colors out of a palette of 65,536, an amount of color that was extraordinary for the time and took more than a decade to surpass. The sound came out of a Yamaha YM2610 chipset that provided 14 channels of sound and 60-bit quality. The controller packaged with the console didn't just try to bring an arcade feeling home, it was the very same controller found in the arcades, albeit in a sleeker design. Neo-Geo didn't just claim to bring the arcades home, it was the very same hardware that you would find in the arcades, just in a smaller, sleeker package. That was apparent even in the cartridges that were sized just a bit bigger than a VHS tape and provided a storage of 330 megabits, an unprecedented size for the home systems back in the day. But all this came at a cost, a huge cost. Even though SNK planned the strategy of launching the console carefully and even created the position of Game Lord, an industry specialist in the face of Chad Okada. Okada, an industry veteran himself, was burdened with the task of spreading the gospel of Neo-Geo the world over. Also, the Rendell strategy was truly intuitive and seemed to work. But the cost, oh dear Lord, the cost. At launch, the Neo-Geo AES cost an astounding amount of $699 US, an equivalent of $1,500 US today. And that's just for the system. To buy any of the games, one would have to chunk out an additional $200 US, the equivalent of roughly $500 US today. So just for the system and one game, you would have to be set back $2,000 US. Wow! As it would turn out, the beast of a console named Neo-Geo would receive incredible reviews the world over, but terrible sales. The console was quickly nicknamed the Rolls-Royce of video games, and that nickname came with the appropriate crowd of owners, namely people with higher to high-end incomes. The console continued to fight on, and around 1994 even had a cheaper CD version in the face of Neo-Geo CD. But it was too late by then. The Neo-Geo ceased production by 1996, although a series of some of the best games for the system came out at that time. The industry was changing, and the beast was not so powerful or impressive anymore, given the fact that it had zero 3D capabilities since it was designed in a different era. An era where the arcades was the golden standard, and no one could truly bring that feeling to our homes. No one but the legendary Neo-Geo, that is.